guys. I'm Mike, CEO of Threedium. Most people don't really know Threedium when we're one of the best kept secrets of London. But what we do is we actually democratize 3D and AR commerce tools for any brand, agency, and individual creator in the world. So we allow them to build their digital products and empower their commerce strategies and basically blend the physical with the digital world so they can be selling both to avatars and consumers. Now, what I'm about to do is I'm going to take you into a journey in commerce. And ultimately, I just want to explain you why we are where we are today. So since 2016, where there was this explosion of e-commerce and where brands started realizing how it's going to become a very important channel for them, both from a revenue perspective, but also from enhancing their market share, they started investing even more and more of their either marketing budgets or high street budgets into optimizing their e-commerce shops. This consequently led to the ability for them to test new technologies to further enhance their product displays, the ways in which they create personalization for their customers. And 3D technologies really proved to them that there were so many opportunities, so many elements that they can benefit as they were continuing to evolve their omni-channel and e-commerce strategies. Fast forward in 2020, immersive solutions were rigorously being adopted from many, many brands across different verticals, from furniture, automotive, fashion, luxury. And we're now going into 2023, where basically all these immersive solutions, this library of 3D products that the brands have, allows them to seamlessly navigate into new territories and into the new Web3, the new internet, where basically they can be seamlessly navigating between different worlds, different commerce experiences, physical, digital, metaverse worlds, and selling to human beings and avatars. Now, the reason we are seeing this massive adoption in the space and why 3D is becoming a key component in the commercial strategies for all the brands, this is a great report from McKinsey and the Business of Fashion, where a lot of the C-level people said that they're seeing a massive opportunity on digital sustainability and consumer engagement for them to continue amassing market share and becoming even more and more relevant. But they're also seeing some big challenges, like supply chain and logistics costs becoming off the roof. They want to find ways to reduce dependencies of that. Sustainability is becoming an important element for them in their strategies and have new quotas that they have to meet every year. And also the fact that COVID and any kind of new COVID that might come in can really deteriorate a lot of their existing supply chain agilities. Therefore, they want to make sure that they have a way to navigate and mitigate any kind of future pandemic. And all these kind of different opportunities and challenges led us into this whole new notion of the metaverse, right? Now, at this point, people don't really know what the metaverse is, or they just think that, oh, is this parallel universe where we have rainbows and unicorns and clouds and it's a story. But the reality is not that. The reality is that because of the ability of being able to utilize digital assets and having blockchain, where it actually allows us to prove ownership of digital assets, the metaverse is actually a nice term to introduce this new era of consumer behavior. And it's the era where human beings, like any one of us, are willing to pay $1, $100, $1,000 to own something digitally and place the same value to it as they place it to physical products. So this basically allows us to see the formation of a dual economy where basically Nike can be selling to us as physical consumers, but they can also be selling to our digital identities and our digital avatars. And this allows them to basically explore two parallel revenue channels. One with the existing, traditional commerce, high street kind of consumer behaviors that we already know, but also the digital avatars that they have their own kind of way of perceiving what is valuable, what is worth purchasing, and allowing them to really create a completely new kind of ways to interact, engage, and build new customers. Now, The problem for the brands right now to go into this metaverse, to go into this new era of 3D and 3D commerce, is that they're facing the ability first to create 3D models at scale. Right now, there's a lot of different platforms that are very confusing for the brands. How do I ensure which one is the best? How do I ensure that I can model my 10,000 products in 3D at scale, ensuring quality? And then even if I find a way to be scalable with my visualization of the products, how do I manage these products? Which platforms do I use? How do I make sure that I have all this creative autonomy to build any kind of experience I have with my 3D products? And then how do I use these digital twins to support me with provenance, with authenticity, with certification? And then the third hurdle that they're facing after, let's say they found a way to solve digital asset management, is the way to distribute and interoperate these kind of 3D models and experiences across physical, digital, and metaverse channels. And also the fact that this whole new metaverse notion entails blockchain, cryptocurrencies, different smart contracts. All these things are stuff that really frighten the innovation managers, the e-commerce teams, the CFOs of different brands. So they're not able to be very agile and move fast. And they're truly looking to find ways to simplify the whole process for them. So this is what we do as Threedium. We have built this end-to-end 3D engine that allows all these different brands and stakeholders and agencies to really build, to visualize their products at scale, being able to then create all sorts of different immersive experiences, which they can then distribute across all these different channels. And we can allow them to do that at scale. So they can create tens of thousands of 3D models, tens of thousands of augmented reality experiences, and publish them across all these different channels in all these different immersive commerce tools. They can deploy them across all their DAM systems, ERPs, CMS, whatever, so they can manage them nicely. And then they can collect all sorts of different consumer behaviors around those 3D products. So what we typically say is that one image equals 1,000 words, one 3D display equals 1,000 data points. So you can know exactly how your users are behaving by interacting with your 3D products across your different channels. And this is basically an overview of the content factory that we're building with each of these brands and agencies. In a way, we're building the digital China of the world, right? So the brands come to us purely by sending images or CAD files. So 0 physical products are being used in the process, fully sustainable. We turn everything through AI and 3D modeling into 3D and AR assets, which they can then certify, authenticate on the blockchain, so they can always trace back and see who the supplier is, if this was actually generated by, let's say, Bulgari, Fendi, or Nike, from whichever channel you're interacting with their products. And then they can take those 3D assets and distribute them across Web 2 traditional channels such as e-commerce, 3D ads, social media, et cetera, or even in their physical stores as AR experiences, or then take them and distribute them as NFTs in different NFT marketplaces, in different virtual worlds where they can be selling them to avatars, and even feature them as try-on experiences. So this is basically an example of how you can take one 3D model and just embrace it in all sorts of different channels. And this is what our platform does. So it basically converts one 3D model into all these different experiences in one go. And it's really, really powerful for the brands. Now, these are different solutions in which brands continue to publish. You have your own made-to-order configurators. This is an example that Burberry is using on Farfetch, where it allows you to create more personalized experiences. You don't need to have too many inventories. You don't need to take Photoshops and use all these different products. You just have one 3D model. You create different colors and textures, and basically you provide the experiences. You can have all sorts of different product explorers that they can really make the whole experience much more powerful, much more vivid, and they send the engagement on the roof. Here's an example of what Bulgari is doing if you guys want to quickly scan and see the experience on your own. It's just a step to get you into the metaverse. But if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to see. And this is the next element of basically how commerce is really shaping up the future. So this is an example of a Birkin bag and how you can see it in 3D. You can see all these different details, and you can click to buy it from e-commerce. But Birkin bag, in the same kind of 3D model, They've converted it into a virtual asset, which they placed into a virtual world. And then avatars, as they're playing games, they can go, click, see it, and buy it through the virtual world. And you can buy it both as an NFT, but also receive it in real life through the game. This was actually purchased by Kanye West a couple of weeks ago for 88 ETH, which was around $200,000. And they just walked into a game, they found it and purchased it and received it home, and they've gifted it to their fiancé, and that was in the press as well. And you know, these things are actually working, and that's why the brands are investing so much in this whole new notion of commerce. We're seeing an average of 300% increase in engagement and dwell time between users interacting with 3D models instead of images online. And we're seeing 150% increase on click-through rates. So the moment a user sees something in 3D, a car, a barbecue, a kitchenware product, they're more likely to build more rapport, more confidence around it, because it gives them that autonomy in browsing it, understanding how it looks, and then clicking to either convert or explore more. And we are also seeing that element in the conversion. So on average, we're seeing 30% increase in conversions by brands using 3D versus static images or videos. And the most important aspect is that we're seeing an 80% drop in product returns, because people already understand that what they're seeing is what they're getting. They understand the actual dimensions, the actual sizing. So it really, really proves to be very good in terms of sustainability and cost saving for the brands. And this is just a snapshot of how the whole digital opportunity is shaping up, right? And how digital assets and the metaverse is becoming a phenomenal opportunity for all the brands in the world. Right now, today, we've got around 1 million users that they're transacting with digital assets or purchasing and owning digital assets or 3D models. And already they've generated around $17 billion worth of transactions. By 2024, according to Bloomberg as well, we are expecting that fashion, who is rigorously adopting this kind of digital asset transformation, it's going to reach a $31 billion market opportunity, because 65 million e-commerce shops are going to be selling both digital and physical garments, and everybody's going to be looking to build both their digital and physical wardrobes. And then as we continue to evolve, all these 1 billion e-commerce shops in the world are going to shift into this metaverse commerce kind of notion, where they're going to be selling both to avatars and consumers, and they're going to be digitalizing their entire library of products to be able to demonstrate them. And why our vision is actually true is, besides the fact that COVID and supply chain costs have been off the roof, and it really causes the brands to find new ways to be more innovative and to cost save, we're also seeing all these brands now doing everything that they can to spark the attention of the Gen Zs, because Gen Zs are already 40% of the global consumer population. They're growing rapidly, and every minute from now on that the brands are not factoring in the fact that these Gen Zs are more prone to buy things digitally versus physically. They're spending more time in socialized gaming worlds and social channels versus, you know, in real life. The moment they're not doing anything to capture that, every other minute that a new baby is being born is probably losing market share for them, because this new generation is exposed to brands that are already talking to them. So by the age that they have the purchasing power, if they don't know, you know, Louis Vuitton or Bulgari or Nike, because they haven't actually crossed paths with them in all their social channel journeys that they were building for the past years, then they're not going to have the confidence or the desire to purchase their products as they continue to grow. And this is a snapshot of how this whole thing can evolve. With some of the diamonds and jewelry brands, for instance, we're working with, they're taking their 3D assets, and they're going to be allowing you, once you're exploring them through the 3D viewers, the 3D configurators, to actually buy the 3D files and go and 3D print them. So they're formulating a supply chain where 0 physical materials or textures are being used, and anyone that has a 3D printer can actually buy their 3D files and print their products at home. We are also allowing them to build this new whole notion of tokenization, which we're going to talk later on about, and how each brand can have their own tokens that allows you to buy their products and not having to worry too much about inflation and price parity across markets. Digital twins are the gateway to authenticity and traceability at scale, because once you see a 3D model, you'll know exactly that it's a one-to-one to what you're going to get, and you know that it's coming through the brand, and this is also supported by blockchain. In the very near future, all the younger generations are going to have their own avatar, so you can take your avatar, embed it into any of these 3D viewers, dress it with whatever clothes or bags or accessories it has within, so you can see how it looks on your digital avatar as well. And the most important thing that I feel is very exciting is the fact that through APIs, we're now going to be able to see how users that take your digital assets and dress their avatars and go and play and socialize in these different metaverse and virtual worlds, the brands are going to be able to understand how far the avatars have traveled wearing a Balenciaga t-shirt, or what kind of activities they've done in this social metaverse world with other avatars. How many avatars have crossed paths with them? And they can even formulate new KPIs, such as rewarding their users by wearing their products more and more in this world, by doing good things, or by building a community of people that they can see them and engage with them. So we can also formulate a whole new era of influencers without having to worry too much about our appearances, or if we're too thin, or if we're too popular on Instagram. So yeah, as we said, there's going to be a lot of champagne later on. So thank you. This is a glimpse of the future, and I think we can.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Mike. Come on and have a seat on the panel. So before we do an introduction of who we are and why we're here to talk about the metaverse, I think just in summary of Mike's presentation, which was kind of a detailed introduction of what's possible in the e-commerce space and within the context of the metaverse. But to summarize, the metaverse is the next evolution of the internet, and not to say, be too kind of cliche, but the metaverse will change our lives, and it will change how we behave, how we interact, how we shop online, how we socially engage, almost every aspect of how we interact as a society right now. So the implications are quite powerful at this point, and it's important for us to understand in the context of the evolution of the internet that we're essentially back in 1993, when we were all kind of saying, www dot what? And now, reflecting back on how much the internet has changed our lives in terms of giving us access to information, access to people, access to economy, the next evolution of the internet is said to be able to connect us not only to information, people, spaces, and assets as well, which is the kind of the blockchain aspect or component of this. But before we start, I just wanted to get a sense of how we feel as a room about our kind of understanding of the metaverse. So we're going to get, if you put your hand up if you feel like you're the expert in the room and you should be on this panel, or if today you're just dipping your toes a little bit and kind of still trying to get a sense of where you're at. So who here thinks they should be up on the panel and talking with us about what the metaverse is? Okay, great. And then would you say the rest of you are kind of dipping your toes into a sense of what the metaverse is and what it might mean for you and your business? Maybe just give a hands up to get a, yeah, great. So maybe Mike's presentation was a bit in-depth in terms of what's possible in terms of 3D spatial conceptualizing of how to buy a purse in the metaverse and exactly what you would do with a purse in the metaverse. But this panel is a very kind of diverse range of perspectives of what the future will entail for us from different kind of disciplines. To introduce myself, I'm Nina Jane Patel. I'm co-founder of Kabuni, which is a safe, responsible metaverse specifically for children ages 8 to 16, grounded in education. So harnessing the power and the tools of Web 3.0 and putting it in the hands of educators, parents, and caregivers today in preparation for their child's future or the student's future. I'm also a doctoral researcher in the psychological and physiological impact of what it means to be human in immersion, in presence, and embodiment in a digital environment. And we'll go along here.
Thank you so much, Nina. I'm Richard Foster-Fletcher, Morality and Knowledge in AI. Wonderful presentation, Mike. Incredible opportunities from the metaverse. But a chance for a fresh start as well. And when you look at the problems we have around the world with social justice and inclusion and sustainability, we don't want to miss this opportunity. And I loved your presentation up until you were tracking everybody, and then it just sounded like the next era of surveillance capitalism. So I hope that we'll have a chance to talk about that as well. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, great. You?
Hello, my name is Xiong. I'm a chair professor at the University of Surrey. I'm also the University Associate Dean International The reason I'm here is because the university is going to set up the first UK University Academy for blockchain and metaverse applications, where I will be the director. We're going to launch it in House of Lords on 28th of June. So the reason we launched that because we realize that it's very important we understand metaverse. And in the meantime, I would also mention that on 6th of June, in House of Lords again, so we're going to launch the all-party parliament group on blockchain and on metaverse and Web3. So we will bring all the leading experts and also the member of parliament there. But we already realize that even our member of parliament, when we ask them about what's metaverse, and almost none of them give us the right answer. So that's why we think it's very important that we pay more attention and we generate more insight from this panel. Yeah.
Wow, don't know how I'm going to follow that. So I'm just a marketer. I'm an engineer. I love technology. I run a Chinese marketing agency. Recently, we've been doing a lot of work with brands to help them. We just started a kind of like a metaverse consultancy arm to help brands to understand the metaverse. We've launched a few NFT projects for a few brands. We're launching one ourselves as well. MMORPG game. I'm also a gamer. So I'm just here to really talk to you guys about what I think the evolution of metaverse is, putting some context into what's happening right now, maybe in China. I always say China is a crystal ball of what's going to happen in the future. So, and hopefully to talk a bit about the evolution of social media and its space in the creator economy and how that connects to the metaverse and Web3 as well.
Great, thank you. And Mike.
And I'm Mike. I've spent 8 minutes introducing myself. So.
Great, and just one more audience participation request. Hands up if you were feeling more on the skeptical side of the metaverse. A bit of fear, a bit of hesitation about what this all means for us. Okay, great. And what about those who are a bit more optimistic, thinking about opportunities business-wise or even for your own personal selves? Okay, so we're leaning towards the optimistic side of things, which is great. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is a lot of opportunity in the Web3 space. And there's also a lot of kind of acronyms as well. So one was mentioned, NFTs, which is non-fungible tokens. We've got DeFis, we've got DAOs, we've got all sorts of acronyms that kind of mystify what the metaverse is. And that's kind of a bit of a marketing ploy at times, but also kind of reminds us that there's a requirement here to do our own research in terms of what the metaverse and what its possibilities are going to mean for you. So to the panel, maybe Arnold first, what is it, in your opinion, is it an opportunity, is it a threat, is it, or is it kind of the end of society?
It's definitely not the end of society. I think, for me, I love technology and I love new things, I love changes. So for me, it's definitely an opportunity. There's a few things. Normally, when something like this happens, people either tend to avoid it and ignore it completely, whether you're like a brand or an entrepreneur, or people jump straight into it. And I think, for me, this is an opportunity where, Nina, you asked earlier, like, who are the metaverse experts here? It's honestly so new that it's very difficult to meet a metaverse expert, just because the space is so new, right? Like, everyone is kind of starting on equal footing and equal grounding. So for me, now is the time. If you are interested and you're an optimist, had your hands up, it's a really good chance to just get into it and trying to learn and read on stuff. Don't be intimidated because everyone is starting from the same place. So yeah, I'm very, very optimistic about it.
And Richard, I'll ask you the same question. Opportunities, threats, risks?
Oh yeah, for sure, wonderful opportunities. And we're constantly hosting our team meetings in Spatial. We have a distributed team. It's incredible for that. I think the biggest opportunity, because I remember we had Second Life, didn't we, all those years ago? Well, what's the difference now? It's the underlying architecture, isn't it? It's the ability to have a DAO, a decentralized, autonomous organization, an unacquirable organization at the heart of this with peer-to-peer decentralized protocols. It's incredible. But it's the data play, isn't it, that's the really concerning one. And if you think about Alexa and Siri and so on, they've been harvesting natural language for years to be able to make a reasonable robot in your home. But we haven't yet really done that for human-to-human interaction. And as we go into the metaverse, the data that's created about how we will converse and engage with one another and smile or distance ourselves or whatever is going to be used for incredible ways. I mean, look, we don't make great decisions right now, do we? We're not heading towards a sixth mass extinction because we make great decisions. So that's incredible opportunity for AI to support us. But if it goes dystopian, and then we start getting AI avatars that we can't tell who's human, who's AI, not because AI is general or smart or any of those kind of things. It's just flippin' good at mimicry. And that's what I think's coming. So there's a lot to get wrong, a lot to get right. But yeah, opportunity for sure.
Yeah, and I think the opportunity right now, today, is this moment. Like, there was all of this technology is unfolding as we speak, as Arnold quite rightly said. No one's an expert in this, and it's shaping out. And I advocate for us to make conscious decisions about how we use technology today, right now, because every interaction we have digitally is shaping the future of the metaverse. All of that data is being used to design a future that we will all be interacting with. And it's where we're at a point where our human bodies are the interface. It's no longer a device between us and the digital world. It is our whole head-to-toe interaction, dancing with the pixels inside of the metaverse, which opens up a lot of opportunities for both unlocking our imaginations, e-commerce, social aspects of this, and certainly for business. One of the kind of key questions here is at the Global Expansion Conference is, how does the metaverse interrelate with the concept of kind of globalization and what it means for businesses? Perhaps you could speak about that.
Oh, well, I think a global perspective, I can give one example of what would happen to me today. Yeah.
Okay.
So after this, the reason I come here only for this session, I will leave. Because one global person is coming to me, 2 o'clock, Brooke Pierce. So, he's a founder of ICO, all the ICO. And he's a chairman of the Bitcoin Foundation, and he's a founder of USDT, the first stablecoin. So he will be with me. So we are creating a real metaverse that he will become my company shareholder. I also, because metaverse side, US is very leading in technology, China is very leading in market, what UK have. But I said that UK have the spirit of how to decentralize, giving value to people. So because 800 years ago, UK is a place to sign the Magna Carta, the Great Charter, decentralize the power of political power. And I happened to acquire the island, Magna Carta Island, where King John signed the Magna Carta. So it's 8 minutes from Heathrow Airport. So if you are interested, please come to visit me there. Yeah. So this afternoon, Bruce thinks this is a brilliant idea. He wants to use the Magna Carta spirit, which is originally from UK, to spread to global. So that's answer your question about globalization. So, but I said to Brooks, I only have 3 hours with him because another person need to meet me 5 o'clock with. Do you know anyone watch Bollywood movie? Sunil Shetty. Do you know anyone of you know Sunil Shetty? No, some people know. Yeah. So yesterday I got Sunil come to University of Surrey. I only informed the students like 2 hours before. 300 students crowded to the lecture theater. You can now, if you type his name, you will find, or you go to University of Surrey Twitter, you will find him. So he will ask me for dinner again because we are creating another metaverse, involve 1.3 billion Indian people together with us. Yeah. So this is a skill that we want to push in a metaverse environment. Yeah. So I think a global metaverse is something more than you can imagine. That's why Facebook changed the whole title into metaverse. And we are doing something bigger than that because we want to give the value back to user. Facebook worth $3 trillion, but without the 2 billion users, the worth 0. Okay, without the 2 billion users, they keep interacting with each other, they create their own content, attract other users. Facebook worth 0. But Facebook refused to give 90% or more of its share, of its value to people. That's a problem of traditional Web 2 technology. Web 3, we want the user who contributed to earn the money. So if you want to know Metaverse, you ask for 2 applications now. One is called Step M. Do any of you know Step M? Good, some people of you know, okay. Step plus N. So this is created by one of the people I know from China, from Zhejiang University. In January, this application worth £2 million. Now, if you check Step N, it's 2 billion. 4 months time, 2 billion. Okay, so I tell you, Metaverse time impact historically the largest wealth shift from the top to down to ordinary people. If you don't pay attention to this, so you may miss this huge opportunity. The other application called AXIE, A-X-I-E. It's a game. It's like a decentralized. People buy land there and trade. Anything you do belongs to you, not to the platform. 90% of the value go to the platform. Okay, so this is application 2. You need to understand the Metaverse. Also, myself also developing a platform called Pixie, so which I was invited, P-I-X-I-E. I only launched it in January. I haven't listed it yet. Now I got 150,000 users, the largest non-fintech blockchain platform in the UK, apart from the fintech applications. So that's led by myself. Once I get it listed, I'm very sure so a lot of people will benefit. Every day, 20,000 people. Today, I checked 20,000 people playing on Pixie. Yeah, so that's my understanding of how Metaverse will impact the whole generation. So basically, I could report more after today. I meet with Brooke Pierce and Sonia Shetty. So I'm sure more things will be happening. And finally, I think on 6th of June, House of Lords will launch the all-party parliament group of Metaverse. I think expert, if you feel you're relevant, you are interested, let me know. And I also invite you to my blockchain academy launch, University of Surrey in House of Lords again. And plus, welcome to my island, Megalakata Island. We'll create a Metaverse based on the real island. It's a 4 acres land historically, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, obviously there is a lot of opportunity in the Metaverse space, and you is exploring a lot of it and bringing it to life, which is fantastic. I think bringing it down to a level of where we want to discuss it today, maybe now's a good time right now to open up the floor for a few questions, because we know that inherently there are a lot of questions about the Metaverse. And yeah, there's a hand up right there.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I understand the value of decentralized finance and the whole idea of us getting back control from the likes of Facebook and the traditional banking institution. What I don't understand is why I'd want a virtual Hermes handbag instead of a real one. And why would I want to be in a world where I'm just almost it reminds me of Sims. I don't know if anyone remembers Sims. It literally is like a virtual world and you feed yourself. I just don't understand that. I wouldn't want to be in that world. I don't, the whole idea of digital fashion is the fact that we can feed it, we can touch it, we have that real experience. That's a bit that I just really don't understand, and I'd like some clarity around, please.
Do you want to go for it, Richard?
I'll try a little bit, yeah. I mean, I totally understand it. Probably wouldn't float my boat either. I think what Professor Yu was describing so brilliantly is that we're heading towards 2 different futures here. The centralized metaverse strategy that you're describing there doesn't appeal to me either. I can buy these sneakers in real life, or I can buy the metaverse. It's the same world, right? But when you look at the underlying architecture and what that offers, it's incredible, because everything we do in Web 2 now is we're just going central. We're just going to an app or a server or something, and we're just taking this central source of information, which is causing all sorts of problems with fake news and everything like that. So if we switch it around, just think about something like, let's take ballroom dancing, for example. You can download an app, and it might tell you how you might be a better dancer. Or in Web3, where I think it gets really exciting, is we don't want to learn from the center anymore. Well, what about somebody with my physique, my weight, my level? Why can't I pick who I want to dance like? So what we want to create is the creator economy for ballroom dancing and handbag design, everything else. And that's the economy that can arise if we can get rid of this centralized narrative that we're stuck to at the moment. And that unlocks incredible opportunities for people to sell to other people and learn from other people and not just go to one answer or one source that the big tech want us to call on at the moment. And that excites me, if that's an okay answer.
Can I add to that, if possible? So basically, there's a whole bigger picture in what you just described, because that is a very shallow description of everything. It's like saying, why do I care about soccer? It's like 22 sweaty men kicking a ball. Maybe, but it's a huge industry where people are crying and laughing and experiencing all sorts of emotions just by seeing these 22 men kicking a ball, right? The important thing about the Birkin bag, whether you're going to buy it physically or digitally, is that you need to understand that in this new notion of metaverse and smart contracts, you're not just transactionally buying something and you're just another client for the Birkin bag, for Hermes. If you buy the digital bag, it means that you are signing a smart contract which binds you in a long-term relationship with that brand. Now, by owning that digital asset, that digital Birkin bag, you have the option to also receive it in real life because you just purchased that smart contract that shows you that you are the eligible owner of that bag. You choose if you want to spend that extra premium to receive it in physical, in real life, which is cool. In real life, it's going to give you all these emotions of lavishness, stylishness, I can take pictures. It fulfills its purpose. But then, with that digital smart contract of that Birkin bag you have, whether that bag gets stolen in real life, whether it gets tear and worn, you have that proof that it belongs to you. That smart contract allows you to grow in perpetuity with the value of the Birkin bag. And the more good things that they do as a brand, the more they evolve their price share and everything, that digital ownership also increases in perpetuity in value. So you can also use it as part of a legacy that you can pass on to your children. And it's going to have value. They can sell it to somebody else because that is a form of a new shareholding experience. So you're becoming a brand ambassador, but also you have a proof that this bag once belonged to me, and I still have that proof. And it's kind of something like a deed that it's going to live forever on the blockchain. And you can be passing and transferring a lot, or even selling it on the secondary market in case you don't want to be in a relationship with Hermes anymore. And going also back to the Sims world and everything, that is just an element. That's what I was saying before my presentation. The metaverse is not a digital world. It's a new notion of consumer behavior. It can have all sorts of different designs, aesthetics. It can be much more photorealistic. It can be much more pixelated, whatever. You get to choose where you're going to go. It's like you have Pinterest, and you've got Facebook, and you've got Instagram, and Snapchat. You choose where you're going to go and where you want to integrate. But what we are doing here is that we're creating an interoperability for you and your digital identity, whatever you own both in real life and physical life and digital life, to go and take it across and show that you have an ownership of it, and it can have value across and wherever you go, both in the digital realm and in the physical realm. You are not supposed to expect to understand that because you don't care. But all of these new generations that are coming in, and they're being brought up and they're fostered with gaming, with whole new notion of socializing, those are the guys that they really truly understand this. And if you speak with any gamer, all the time and effort that they put in building these characters in their games, dressing them and equipping them with weapons, they want to have some sort of value being placed on that because they're spending their time, their creativity, So why wouldn't they be allowed to sell it to somebody else? They've created them, right? They don't want the Blizzards or the gaming companies of the world to have full ownership of that IP.
I think it's also important to note at this point that it's not just kind of consumer behavior that's going to be integrating the metaverse technology into it. It's going to be across sectors, including healthcare, including education, including workplace environments. The technology will be layered upon our real world, and also can be fully immersed in the kind of a virtual synthetic world. And we'll be able to, in the future, kind of move between the digital, the physical, and this place of convergence where digital world's over here and our physical world is over here. very close and then also become one. And the gaming world doesn't appeal to me either. To own a Birkin bag in the metaverse doesn't make that much sense to me either. But where I see real strong applications for this are in our children's education, unlocking imagination, bringing awe, joy, and wonder into the classroom by the power of the technology, with the potential blockchain-enabled system to understand a child's academic journey from kindergarten to graduation on the blockchain, and they take that with them all wherever they are as adults. There's so many different applications, and really right now, as businesses, as individuals, as communities, you have an opportunity to kind of design that and shape that if you just kind of open your eyes to the opportunity that's available to us right now. Shall we take another question? If there's anyone else, a few more, yeah.
Hi there.
Hi.
One of the questions really for the panel is, what would you say are the top 3 risks for users in the metaverse, and what's actually been done to mitigate those?
Well, I'll start with that answer. I specialize in integrating children into the metaverse. Of course, there's lots of questions, there's lots of risks. So we're studying an evidence-based methodology, both psychologically and physiologically, of how to integrate the technology into children's lives, young people's lives, responsibly, ethically, safely, and with trust. And so there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns on the developing mind, the developing body when it comes to integrating and immersing and being embodied in the virtual environment. So it's early days. There's actually minimal research identifying kind of some of the key concerns and any clear academic research on what the implications are. But there are many questions. So one of them is around our children, for sure. Another one, Richard, go for it.
Neuromarketing that increases our obsession with consumption in a world that can't handle it.
Boom, mic drop.
Simple as that.
I guess one of the biggest concerns is this kind of an all-consuming dystopian future where we're all plugged into the wall constantly because we need to get back into the metaverse because the real world is really boring. But I think all of us here agree that right now we have an opportunity to be really selective and intentional about how this technology is shaped, and starting to become more conscious about our digital choices, our relationship with digital entities, virtual, e-commerce, all of it, because it's going to be integrated into our lives, into our bodies, into our minds in capacities that we do not yet understand. And we have to become, unfortunately, more responsible and conscious about those interactions today in order to collectively map out a more healthy, balanced future, not only for us, but again, for those future generations of children who will be digital natives, and they'll want that Birkin bag, and they'll want to have it in real life and digital, and have that bridge between the two. So, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part was, what actually been done to mitigate those risks? What's kind of the risk appetite?
Mitigating those risks. I mean, the question is always around regulation, isn't it? I think the previous panel or fireside chat around AI and machine learning and ethics around that. A lot of those same conversations come into play in the metaverse, especially when we start considering biometric data that can be tracked within the metaverse with the associated wearables.
I think the big question that I've heard multiple answers to, and jump in by the way, is whether it's the same or different. Can we just apply what we've learned from social media, Web 2, and AI, for example? And does that give us the right questions, or doesn't it? And I'm hearing different things at the moment. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on that.
Well, the truth is that nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody, you know? That's the truth. And nobody knows where it's going to be in 6 months, in a year's time. We're just testing, learning, and grinding into the space. If you don't test, if you don't understand different behaviors, you cannot really predict them. So you're doing things, you're seeing the reaction, and then you're being proactive about solving it or building upon whatever it is that you've just discovered. There's a lot of gray areas like taxation, like data ownership or restrictions, like you know, to which extent the IP that I'm building in this new world belongs to me. But everything is being trying to resolve through these whole ERC tokens and smart contracts that are being generated, but also through these different protocols that very exceptional people and astrophysicists and engineers are building. You know. there's no right or wrong. It's just very early days.
Yeah, so more questions than answers for you today, I'm sure, and that's one of the opportunities that you have as we journey into the metaverse. Is it's really important that you ask questions. You ask all those things like, I don't understand, I don't get it, what is this? And question what big tech companies and small tech companies are doing right now, because today, right now, is the opportunity to shape this together for the future. So with that, we thank our panelists today.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to hear our different views. And thank you for some great questions. See you in the metaverse.